a Netflix original film.
The Wi-Fi isn't working.
In the event of a global communications breakdown, do the following. Stay inside.
What just happened here is happening everywhere.
Avoid strangers.
We've all been deserted.
I don't trust them.
And most importantly, do not panic. Julia Roberts.
What happens next?
Mahershala Ali.
I knew something was coming.
Leave the World Behind. Rated R. In select theaters now and on Netflix December 8th.
Today on CityCast Philly, it's the Friday News Roundup. We're talking about the upcoming appointment of the city's next police commissioner, a new citywide holiday, and one way a local artist is honoring some sports legends. It's Friday, December 1st. I'm Trinae Nuri, and here's what Philly's talking about. Joining me this week is Anna Orso, City Hall reporter for the Philadelphia Inquirer. Hey, Anna.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I'm glad that you're here. And joining us also is Beatrice Foreman, general assignment reporter for the Philadelphia Inquirer. Hey, Beatrice.
Hi, it's so great to be back.
Yes, glad to have you back. I can't believe it. It's December 1st. How did that happen? But I want to ask you all, did you get a chance to see the random snow flurries that happened earlier this week?
Oh my gosh, yes. And I could not believe it. I was so excited that I finally got to use my favorite word in the English language, squall.
Okay. For those who don't know, what does squall mean?
It's like a brief and really intense snow event, I think. At least that's how I use it.
Wait, that's such a fun word. I'm going to use that now all the time. Well, next time there's a squall, I guess.
Squall sounds like a type of bird. I don't know why, but Beatrice, did you get a chance to see the snow?
Yeah, I was actually walking to a coffee shop when it happened and was like woefully underdressed for the temperature. So it was giving chilly, it was giving flurries, and I was unprepared.
Right. I was at a Target and I was at the line and they're like, look outside, it's snowing. I'm like, how? And it was freezing. But we'll talk later about the cold temperatures and how the city is helping folks stay warm. All right, let's get into some of the stories of the week. This one was really interesting, Anna. I want to start with the mayor-elect Sherelle Parker naming former deputy commissioner and the current chief of school safety for the school district of Philadelphia, Kevin Bethel, as the Philadelphia Police Commissioner. And all this week, we've seen reactions to her selection. And I'm curious, what have other law enforcement officials and even community leaders said about this upcoming appointment?
The reaction to Kevin Bethel's appointment has been generally pretty positive. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that, yes, he's well respected in law enforcement. He spent 3 decades in the Philadelphia Police Department. And I think he's really well liked among the rank and file, just given the fact that he sort of rose through the ranks of the department himself. But he also has quite a bit of experience in the reform space.
Okay.
After he left the police department, he was a Stoneleigh Fellow and focused on expanding diversion programs for young people who commit low-level offenses at school. And he's been really passionate about expanding that work. And so he has gotten a pretty positive welcome from many in the city who see him as someone who might be able to bring a balanced approach to policing.
And wasn't that the one of the reasons, and Parker said that that's why she chose Bethel?
Yes, and that's why it made him such an interesting choice. Sherelle Parker really ran as a tough-on-crime, moderate Democrat. She won the primary after running a campaign focused on ending what she called lawlessness in the city. She even embraced stop and frisk, the really controversial police tactic that Jim Kenney ran against. So it was interesting that she chose Kevin Bethel, who, yes, is very much a police officer. He's a proud Philly police officer. But he's also, as I said, well respected in the reform arena and is really seen as somebody who, especially when it comes to young people, looks to take a different approach.
What has Bethel said about this decision?
Well, he had a press conference right after he was announced, and he gave this really sort of rousing speech where he talked about growing up in Philadelphia and, seeing what it's become, he talked about how some of his relatives feel scared to come outside at times. And he talked about ending this fear that people might feel as it relates to the public safety situation in the city.
So, Anna, can you just remind us, what does Philly's top cop actually get to do?
That's a great question. The police commissioner is really responsible for carrying out the mayor's vision for public safety in the city. So while Sherelle Parker can articulate what her vision for public safety looks like, it's up to the police commissioner to really execute that. He or she is in charge of patrol strategy. They're in charge of managing high-level complex investigations. They also have to do a lot of external management. They have to appear in the media and the press and make people feel okay about the crime situation in the city. They have to have relationships with lawmakers and members of city council. So they're really a figurehead in some ways, but they're also, the buck really stops with them. And I think that people in the city feel like they're excited that Sherelle Parker is bringing in someone with so much experience within the department that he's going to be asked to lead.
I went to the Philadelphia Citizens annual festival called Ideas We Should Steal. And former Mayor Michael Nutter and former Police Commissioner Charles Ramsey were on a panel together, and they discussed just the relationship that both of them had when they first met each other at this coffee shop down in DC. They spent 3 hours together, and then they talked about just that relationship and respect that they had for one another, and to make sure. And Charles Ramsey said that he made sure that Mayor Nutter knew what was going on, sent him texts throughout the night. And sometimes they were playful with each other, all right, you don't need to text me right now about this particular thing. But, it'll be interesting to see how Parker and Bethel will begin to develop a relationship, and we'll get to see all of that. Now, of course, we have to wait for Mayor-elect Sherelle Parker to get sworn in and the formal procedures. But what actually does happen next, right? Does Bethel get to start on day one too?
That's a great question. So Sherelle Parker will be sworn in on January 2nd, and we can expect Kevin Bethel to take office immediately and begin leading the police department. He's already sort of in a transition period. The current interim police commissioner is John Stanford. He took over for Danielle Outlaw when she sort of abruptly resigned in September to take a new job. So Stanford and Bethel have a pre-existing relationship that Bethel has said might make the transition a little bit smoother. So we can expect to see Sherelle Parker and Kevin Bethel pretty front and center at the start of the new year.
Okay, shifting gears, Beatrice, you recently wrote about what really sounds like a really cool event, the inaugural celebration of Rocky Day. Please tell us more about this.
So December 3rd will officially be Rocky Day in the city of Philadelphia. And how we're kicking that off is Sylvester Stallone will be appearing at a new Rocky-themed apparel shop that's next to the Philadelphia Art Museum steps this Sunday at 11 a.m. If you're a Rocky superfan, like my dad is, you already know that December 3rd is a really big deal because that was the day Rocky was released in 1976.
Wow, look at that. I feel like this is a long time coming. The line to just take a picture of this fictional Philadelphian, it goes on for a really long time. Beatrice, the shop is already there, right?
Yeah, so this is largely ceremonial. The shop opened early in the fall and it sells things from Sylvester Stallone's official brand. You can get robes and boxing shorts with the word Italian Stalling on the booty. You can get commemorative Rocky statues and replica movie props. And it's really meant for tourists. It is not necessarily meant for people who live in Philadelphia. So the president and CEO of the Philadelphia Visitor Center Corporation, Catherine Lovell, actually said that this Rocky statue, not the art museum and not the steps, but the statue specifically draws around 4 million visitors a year and is likely Philly's second most visited tourist attraction. So people really just love Rocky's aura. And when you said it's a long time coming, this is actually true. Allegedly, Sylvester Stallone directly personally pitched Mayor Kenny an idea for the shop years ago.
Wow. And this is what we get. I love it. Okay, Anna, Beatrice, have you ever ran the Rocky steps?
I've walked up them. I didn't run
You didn't
them.
run?
I ran them once when I first moved here, and I am happy to say I've never done it again.
Yeah, it's you get winded. Okay, Beatrice, if Philly didn't have more to celebrate, we are a sports town, and this Sunday, the Eagles are playing San Francisco 49ers, which is expected to be a really great matchup. Beatrice, what other ways is the city celebrating some real sports legends?
So a Jason Kelce mural just went up on 45 East Porter Street on the warehouse of Doherty Electric in South Philly. And what is really cool about this is a whole family business opportunity. Joey Doherty, who's 22, who works for his dad at Doherty Electric, has been painting large-scale murals of contemporary Philly sports legends since 2021, and Jason Kelce is just the latest person to go up on the warehouse.
I love it. Why is Joey doing this?
Joey's family is a huge sports family, and he paints murals in his spare time. So in 2021, when Joel Embiid was campaigning to be NBA MVP, that's when the first mural went up. The second mural went up of Bryce Harper right around the time when the Phillies were in the NCLS for the first time in 2022 in a while. And then the mural of Jalen Hurts went up right before the Super Bowl. And now this Kelce mural went up now that Jason Kelce has the most consecutive starts with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Beatrice, what I love about Joey's story about this mural is who Joey wants to paint next. And who is that?
Joey actually wants to paint Rocky Balboa next on the wall.
All right. That was Beatrice Foreman and Anna Orso, both reporters for the Philadelphia Inquirer. Thank you both so much for joining me this week on CityCast Philly.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
It's time for the tip of the week, where we share a life hack for living in Philly. Earlier in the show, we talked about just the random snowfall earlier this week. The weather got so bad that the city activated Code Blue procedures on Monday night. So we wanted to make sure you know what those are. When it gets really, really cold out, the city takes extra steps to keep unhoused people safe. So they'll open up more shelter space. If you see a person sleeping outside during Code Blue, you can call the city's homeless outreach hotline at 215-232-1984. Again, that's 215-232-1984. If you have a tip of the week and you want to share it with the CityCast Philly team, call or text us at 215-259-8170. That's all for today here on CityCast Philly. Our executive producer is Laura Benshaw. Our producers are Abby Fritz and Elizabeth Kama. Our Hey Philly newsletter editor is Joel Wolfram. And our host is me, Trinae Nuri. Music is by Philly's own Interminable, with additional music from All the Kimonos and James Weldon. If you enjoy this week of episodes, tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to the morning newsletter, Hey Philly. We'll be back Monday morning with more news from around the city. Have a great weekend and be safe, y'all.